Women's Day, Women's Day. Well, it's not Women's Day as much as it is the month. I am woman, hear me roar. The number's too big to ignore, and I know too much to go back and pretend. 'Cause I've heard it all before, and I've been down there on the floor. No one's ever gonna keep me down again. Oh, yes, I am wise, but it's wisdom born of pain. Yes, I paid the price, but look how much I've gained. If I have to, I can do anything. I am strong, strong. I am invincible, invincible. I am a woman. You can bend me but never break me. Yeah, 'cause it only serves to make me. All those great lyrics. I'll never forget this song. Came out in the 1970s. I remember being at home and looking on the bed of my parents and seeing a box of cassette tapes. And it was from, I don't know, it was the Columbia Music or somebody's music club. And they were playing, in that box were many of the tapes. This is the last surviving tape of that club. This is Burt Bacharach, a project called Futures. It's the last surviving tape. The rest of them, God knows what I did with them down through the years. We recorded over them, and me and my brother Larry did skits over them. And so I hold on to this tape because it's the last surviving memory of my mother, in a sense, and back in the 70s. But Helen Reddy was one of the tapes that was in that box, along with Glenn Campbell and Stevie Wonder and the Mountain Men. We be riding wildfire. Well, Glenn, I think that's Glenn, but the Mountain Man was Rocky Mountain High and all these guys, all right? I had never heard these people before until then. Helen Reddy was a favorite of mine, and everything she ever did from that moment on, as I discovered American music, I just was floored by it. And so this cassette tape is a cherished memory of mine. It is an heirloom that I'll pass down to my own son. All right. Today I'm doing Women's History Month, a tribute to the women that was not just in my life, but in everybody's life in America. All right. This should be quite interesting. And uh-oh. Hello, everybody. Sirwalterj show. I'm here to the evening edition. Baby, come on in. The water's fine. Yeah. Wichita lineman. Yeah. Good to see you, Carter and Rogers and Johnson and Chester and Ivy and gosh, a whole bunch of y'all here. Beatrice and if you got same last two names, two people's same last name, I gotta say your first name. So Beatrice, no relations to Michelle. At least I don't know. Good to see Oliver, James, and the Lula B. Yeah, let's talk about the women of America and their rights. All right, as you can tell by my pandemic report topic here, it says women rights. Is it in the Bible? And absolutely we'll go through that. Good to see you, Joanne. I will survive as long as I know to love. I know I'd be alive. Gloria Gaynor. Yeah, all that stuff was happening in the 1970s, and it was a glorious time to be alive. I was born, I believe, at the right time. I actually believe I should have been born in the 1940s because I enjoyed the music of the 40s and 50s so much. So that means I should have been born in the 20s so that I can enjoy the 40s. Yeah, I guess so. I want to first start talking about this by honoring a dear mother of mine. She was a spiritual mother of mine. Her name was Mrs. Helen Bronson. She was the wife of Dr. Oswald P. Bronson of the prestigious Bethune-Cookman College in Daytona Beach, Florida. I enrolled in that college in 1985 under a major was pre-law and my minor was music. I received a music scholarship to play in the band. That's how I got there. The man who I was playing the song, I was enrolled. I wasn't enrolled, but I was a member of the All City Jazz Band here in Chicago in Jones Commercial downtown, and I was playing a song on the saxophone entitled "God Bless the Child" that got its own. We know that was made famous by what's her name? Lady Sings the Blues. What's her name? Okay, and he arranged it. Harold Bray, Dr. Harold Bray arranged that band. That the part that I was playing, he had arranged it, and he came to town and he heard me play, and he said, "Son, you're going to college," and that's how I got to Bethune-Cookman. While there on the college, I bumped into a George Butts, who was the security guard there, and he introduced me to Bunny Bronson, who was the daughter of the president of the college, Billie Holiday. Thank you, Michelle Carter. And then Bunny introduced me. She was a minister, well, she still is, and she was pretty much launching her ministry. She wanted a traveling musician, and I played just a little bit, and so we began to travel up and down the state of Florida as she spoke here and there, and I would be her musician. And she introduced me to her parents. It was the biggest thing that I ever witnessed in my life, to be a part, first of all, of a prestigious institution like that. It was a college then, but it's now a university. And being a freshman, new in town, I didn't know nobody there other than my roommate. And I had no family in Florida. And she took me down to the house where the college had a little parish, a house on the corner of the campus where the president lived with his family. And there she allowed me to meet Mrs. Bronson. I walked in the house, and it was if you ever walked into an antique shop or you walked into one of those prestigious homes of the antebellum South. That's the way it was there. Helen Bronson, decorated that place so beautifully. You couldn't sit on nothing because it was plastic on all the couches. You know what I mean? That's the way it was. And there was a piano in the corner. And she says, "Oh, you play out here?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." And I went and sat down. This is 1985, y'all. So it was some time ago. And I began to play, and I did the best I could. Oh, I was jamming. And she stopped me. She says, "Son, you don't use your left hand." I said, "Well, you don't need to use your left hand." She said, "Move out the way." Woo! She, and she was doing this ragtime-ish type thing. There's this lift. They call it lilt or whatever thing they call it. And I was amazed by this senior woman playing me under the table. And she says, "Son, you got to use your left hand. You can't do everything with your right hand." And I was embarrassed, but I thought, and I told her, I said, "But it doesn't make any sense." She said, "Son, you're going to learn one day. You're going to listen to me one day. Use your left hand." So we had dinner. And then she offered me a job on campus. What was that job? That job was a work study, so it can, of course, go towards my tuition. And that job was, she was the curator of the Mary McLeod Bethune home. I thought, wow, God, how are you setting me up? If you go to Google, you'll see the home, and I was one of the tour guides for people who would come to town. And let me show you. Let's see, how do I do this? Here are some of the pictures of the home. Some of you might recognize the home. This is inside here. This is where Mary McLeod Bethune lived, and she died in this home here. And they tried to preserve it just as she left it when she died in 1950, I don't know, 355, somewhere around there. All right. What else? This is the interest to it, but it is indeed a very beautiful home. Here's another more current picture of the home. Okay. And so every day I had the privilege of that being my second home. And some of the most prestigious men and women from around the country would come to Florida, to Daytona Beach, just to visit that home. Um, and here I have here a picture of her with another historical person. I've showed some of y'all my yearbook, but I want to focus on the women today. All right, right here is Dr. Marjorie Joyner here. Okay, thank God many of you know who she is. And this is George Butts who introduced me to Bunny Bronson, who got it all started. This is the house that we're standing in front of, and that's me over there in the corner with the striped shirt. Unfortunately, my face wasn't seen, but I know that's me, and I remember that day like it was yesterday. All right. And let's see here. I want to show y'all. This is Dr. and Mrs. Bronson. All right. He was the president of Bethune-Cookman College for, about 30 years, I believe. And he was one of the greatest presidents they had. Many of the things that he accomplished under his administration was definitely in the history books. Okay. Now let me see what I can. Let me see. There's something else here. Yeah, here's some more stuff here. This is where is it? Yeah, there's Marjorie Joyner. All right, I'll tell you more about her in a minute. Okay, they were making the stamp for the founder, Mary McLeod Bethune, a civil rights leader. Here is an old picture of the 1930s of the campus. All right, back then it was just that one, well, two buildings actually, the dorm, and then there was what was called White Hall. 2nd Avenue. By the time this picture was taken, I had just got to the campus, 1985. All right, and of course, where is it? There I am, right there. That handsome debonair face right there. Okay, all right. Well, that's the history of a little bit of the history. So I wanted to focus on Dr. Bronson, Helen Bronson. I actually have 30 years later, I decided to go back to the college. I brought my kids there actually, and we took pictures, and I told them the history of the college, and they both were enrolled in two different institutions. My daughter was on her way to Western Illinois University. My son was on his way to Full Sail College in Lakeland, Florida, I believe it was. All right, and once they saw our campus, they wanted to change their mind. They was wishing, especially my daughter, that she had enrolled in an HBCU. Good to see you, James Foster. All right, and for those of you who've never had the experience of being a part of an HBCU, man, I tell you, you don't know what you're missing. Indeed, a lot of great history. I'll fast forward this to 1 minute in. Hold on, this is me coming back 30 years later to visit the home, and my second home. Closed. Right now, yeah. Oh, okay. You guys are closed?
Yes, we are.
Okay, all right. You'll be open tomorrow?
Yes.
I'm sure. 10 to 3? That's the same?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. There's a whole lot of other stuff I want to do here anyway. Yeah. They were closed, so I couldn't do the tour. I wanted to tell her so bad, this is my house. I'm responsible for a lot of stuff being in this house. I was the one that was every day I had to sweep the floor and vacuum and dust and all kinds of stuff. All right, so but it was just I remember going back to the hotel room and having a little have some teared up moments. The National Council of Negro Women. All right, Marjorie Joyner was one of the co-founders with Mary McLeod Bethune, I believe. And so that's why it was so important. I became a member. There was a charter, Illinois charter here under co-pastor Anderson, and I joined the charter. Now, I know that's the National Council of Negro Women, but they also allow men to join. And so I did join, and I was a faithful card carrier, and also Vicki Winans was one as well. So we joined. Well, she joined before I did. All right, and so I just wanted to give homage to and respect to where respect is due. Pray for the Bronson family. Mrs. Helen Bronson lost her battle with COVID just a couple of days ago. It took her out of here. She was 95 years young. I have video of she and I together singing and playing the piano. I don't have time to play that right now, maybe at another time. I also have video of myself and Dr. Bronson, who passed a few years ago as well, sitting in the restaurant, Bob Evans restaurant, and he was telling me about how he met Bishop C.H. Mason and how Bishop Mason prayed for him. So God has introduced me and put me in the faces of many men and women of American history and civil rights. So I have a lot to say about the plight, the struggle, and I was blessed to meet Mary McLeod Bethune's son. What was his name? I forgot his name. He was still alive while I was on the campus, and he would visit our church a few times on Sunday mornings at Butts Temple. Shout out to Bishop Samuel Butts, who is a dear friend of mine now. All right. And so a lot of history there. Barack Obama came to the campus as he was running for president, and my roommate was there. You'll see us taking pictures with Obama. And so I thank God for the rich line of, extremely rich history. Yeah, I wear jeans, man. I do wear jeans. I don't have them on now, but I do wear them. Okay, I want to talk about women history and what does the Bible have to say about it. And let's see what we can do. If you're on YouTube right now, go ahead and share this. Subscribe if you can, and go ahead and hit the like button, because I'm going to try not to be as controversial as I usually am, but I cannot guarantee you that I won't be, because after I start reading my notes, you will hear some controversy. Albert Bethune, thank you. Albert was a big guy. All right, he was walking when I met him in 1985, and his weight wouldn't allow him to hold up that much, and then they had to put him in a wheelchair. But yeah, it was just to be face to face with all of that wonderful history. I thank God for it. They are missing a lot. While I was at the AME church, I discovered a lot about the many of the young people. Yeah, indeed, and you were right. And there's the AME and the AME Zion, and those two sometimes tend to fight. Yeah. You, yeah, Michelle. I wanted to be on the PBS special, but they wouldn't call me back. So what does the Bible say about women's rights? The term women's rights gained popularity in American history in 1848, believe it or not. It's not something that's brand new. Wikipedia talks about the Women History Month. It's an annual declaration, as y'all know, highlight the contributions of women in history and contemporary society. It says here it is celebrated during March and in United Kingdom as well as Australia. And it corresponds with the International Women's Day March, which is tomorrow. March 8th, is that tomorrow? And during October in Canada. The commemoration began actually in 1978 for the Women's History Week. in Sonoma County, California. So that's where it started with Gerda Lerner and the National Women's History Alliance. All right. So that's to give you the history of why we're celebrating women this month. I called Dr. Henry. Or I'm gonna call him when I get off this phone. Okay, off this phone. All right. So, but the term started in 1848 in Seneca, New York. 300 people signed a declaration calling for the end to discrimination against women. Yes, y'all were discriminated against. However, in 1866, the 14th Amendment, which was to guarantee the basic rights of all citizens, designated the word citizen to mean male vote, not y'all. All right, thus eliminating women from such protection. So you were not protected under the 14th Amendment. But by 1900, every state had passed legislation that allowed married women to own property and keep their own wages. You had to be married. And despite those advancements, history has not been kind to y'all. And in the face of the freedoms women enjoy in modern America today, the unfair laws and practices of the past still haunts us. And there are many countries that continue to treat women as lesser human beings. And some people claim that the Bible is one reason women have been treated unfairly. I heard a lot of people say that. Women were treated just unfairly. They were treated as second-class citizens, and they were dogged out, and they were messed around, and they were raped, and they were all kind of stuff. And it seems like the Bible kind of pushes that into the mindset of those who don't understand the scriptures. Other points to the Bible as planting the seeds of liberation for women. All right. So others say the Bible is quite liberating for women. So we're going to consider some things here. Before looking at what the Bible has to say about social issues, we must always understand the context of a particular passage and the audience to whom it was addressed. The Bible is a collection of books. You know that. Each inspired by God, but written by different authors. Understand? So in different eras for different purposes. And unless you understand that point there, you will be blaming God for the way women were treated. Okay, you got to go to 2 Peter chapter 1. For no prophecy was ever produced by the will of man. It's no private interpretation, basically, but men spoke from God as they were carried along by the Holy Spirit. All scripture, 2 Timothy 3 says, is breathed out by God and profitable for teaching, for reproof, and for correction, and for training in righteousness. So we know that God breathed it. He authorized it, but many men wrote based off of their era and the different purposes of why they wrote. All right, very important. So, for example, God's command to the Israelites to utterly destroy the Hittites and the Canaanites. He told them to do that. It was not written to the 21st century Christian, though. You understand? We keep borrowing from the Old Testament and saying, see, this is the way God is. No, we cannot act on that command. It was not intended for us. Instead, we learn from it and we seek to understand God's purpose in it. Likewise, some Old Testament elements that sound to our Western ears as though God disrespects women need to be considered in the light of the culture of the Near East. And that was 4,000 BC. You understand? All right. So what we know from scripture is that God created women as a complement and a gift to man. Do you understand? You are a complement and you are man's gift. Once man realized that, he would treat you differently. Something got erased out of man's mindset, or he wasn't taught that, or he would not lay his hands on a woman, or he would not raise his voice to women, or he would not mistreat them the way he does. But that woman is a gift, all right, to mankind. To man, that is, not mankind. I can't say that because then all of that other stuff comes in and see, Bud Jones is preaching that, all right. Then the Lord God said, it is not good that the man should be alone. No, she is to be treated. She is to be treasured, protected, and selflessly serve the way Christ loves and serves his church. So those of you who are married, all right, you men, you're married to your wife. Paul gives us a great breakdown in Ephesians chapter 5 and 1 Peter 3 about your job as a man. You are to give your life for her if need be. Christ loved the church so much that he gave his life for her. Likewise, you should do the same. All right. So, but falling man, acting according to his sinful flesh, perverts what God had created. So over time, God's ideal for the woman was shattered, and she became little more than a sexual object, a baby bearer, and a slave to the master. She's always looked to and depicted in the old days of television as wearing the dress with the pearls and the man coming home and, honey, I'm home. And she gives him his slippers and the newspaper and the pipe, and the dog, licks his hands and all kind of stuff. And she goes in there and make him dinner, and she's barefoot and pregnant. That's usually what we saw. And we were raised that way to see that was the only depiction of who a woman was. Now, this was not God's plan, just as war and disease and suffering were not his plan. But God allows humankind free will to choose whether to honor his comments or defy them. However, consequences come with either choice. One consequence that resulted from man's misuse of the woman God gave him is that one half of his image, all right, has been abused. One half of God's image, that's the woman, was abused, subjugated. She was disrespected and violated throughout world history. Throughout world history. And when God gave the law to the Israelites in Exodus 24, he worked within the social structure they already knew. So ancient civilizations were often violent. They were idolatrous. They were superstitious, and they were evil. That's just the way it was back then, and God had to work through that. So God called out a people and began to teach them about himself. Help them separate themselves from the pagan nations around them and show them a better way to live. There was a better way to live. They choose not to live that way. Jeremiah 32:38. And they shall be my people, and I will be their God, and I will give them one heart and one way, that they may fear me forever, for their own good and the good of their children after that. All right. Now, one aspect of his law elevated the status of women and children to new heights. And God worked within their social structure to ensure women's rights. That is, in the law, women were protected. They were given fair treatment and provided for so that no woman could be used and then discarded, as was the practice in the pagan nations. God implemented special laws to protect widows and orphans and single women without male providers. If you didn't have a male provider back in the Middle East, it was dangerous. That's why we got the Boaz and Ruth story, all right, and Naomi's story, because it just wasn't good for a woman. She may have starved to death, all right. She needed an inheritance, a covering. We do understand that's the way it was in the Middle East, but God had a protection for a lot of that. Exodus 22, you shall not mistreat any widow or fatherless child. Deuteronomy 25:19, cursed be anyone who perverts the justice due to the sojourner, the fatherless, and the widow. And all the people shall say amen. Joshua 17:3-4. Read that if you can. The problem with the term women's rights is that it implies that certain groups can demand rights that God did not give them. You understand? God did not give them. It's sad. The Jews, the men were divorcing women for everything. Her breath stank, divorce her. She didn't know how to have sex properly, divorce her. She wasn't cooking, divorce her. And Moses was giving and allowing a writ of divorce for these men, to get rid of their women. Jesus came on the scene, and they asked Jesus about marriage. Can we divorce them? And Jesus said it was not like that in the very beginning. What was the beginning? He took them all the way back to Adam and Eve. He made them, all right, one. He took two bodies and made them one, and let no man can put asunder. You know, the great thing about Adam and Eve at that time is that neither one of them could cheat on each other. He made just those two, and she couldn't cheat and he couldn't either. So Jesus had to take them back then. He says the reason why Moses gave a writ of divorce is because Moses was trying to protect not the man. He was trying to protect the woman. He was trying to free the woman from this bondage. Do you understand? Y'all feel me? So God has always been trying to protect the women. All right. So women's rights is a problem today. Less noble inclusions usually piggyback on the benign phrase. For example, demand for women's right is usually equated with the pro-choice agenda. Be careful. I've heard many of you who are believers, who are Christians, who are of the body of Christ says, I'm against abortion, but I'm for pro-choice because I don't have a right to tell a woman what to do with her body. Okay, well, that's a bipolar statement. That's bipolar. Why? Activists maintain that part of a woman's right is sovereignty over her own body, even if that body is housing a separate human being. But we cannot create our own rights. We have the right to life because God gave it to us. So we have the right to avoid danger and abuse whenever possible because our bodies are God's temple. 1 Corinthians 6:19. So we have the right to choose whether or not to obey God and the right to receive the consequences of your choice. But we do not have the right to infringe upon any rights belonging to someone else. Your child in your belly have a right to live. You have a right over your body, but if it infringes on the rights of someone else, even though they're growing in your body, your rights have been cut. Remove the child from your body, which means let that child have life, and then you can do whatever you want to with your body. You know, so you guys have these when y'all start listening and then start moving over to the progressiveness of and feminism and all this stuff, you begin to get pulled into that mentality, and you don't realize you're going against the scriptures. Hard hearts and yes, come on, come on, you know the scriptures. Blessings to you, Priscilla Stepney. It's good to see you always. All right, so here are I'm gonna give you 7 steps here. Number 1, a woman has the right to be treated as a woman the way God designed her. In other words, no one has the right to force a woman to behave as a man or defy her God-given gender. Very important. God-given gender. God placed beauty and grace in the female soul different from the characteristics he gave men. A woman who cannot accept her design as a female needs to be loved. She needs to be counseled and shown what it truly means to be a woman. She needs to be a woman. Number 2, a woman has the right to nurture and protect her own body, growing inside her body. No one has the right to force a woman to abort her child. And by the same token, no woman has the right to force her baby's death. That's Psalms 139. For you formed my inward parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb. Number 3, a woman has the right to flourish and grow within the boundaries God created for her, just as men do. Men do not have the right to inhabit that growth and that freedom as has been done in the past and is still practiced in many parts of the world today. Number 4, a woman has the right to fair treatment because women are joint heirs of the grace of God. 1 Peter 3:7. He says, likewise, husband, live with your wives in an understanding way, showing honor to the woman as the weaker vessel, since they are heirs with you of the grace of life, so that your prayers may not be hindered. Brothers, your prayers, God can't hear you when you mistreat your wife. She is a co-laborer, a co-worker in the gospel. All right, a co-heir. All right, so which means she getting the same thing you're getting when we all get to heaven. So why she's not beneath you when it comes to the grace and the glory and the honor of God. All right, so this includes equal opportunity to own property. Proverbs 31:16, she considers a field and buys it, and with the fruit of her hands she plants a vineyard. It also means receiving an education, make personal decisions for herself, receive equal pay for equal work. Deuteronomy 24:17 says, you shall not pervert the justice due to the sojourner, to the fathers. I read that already. And marry or not marries as she choose. She can marry or she could decide not to marry. That's her choice. And many denominations have forced women to get married. Kojic, Apostolic, Church of God, Fire Baptized. They just feel that all women who are born need to be married. And that's not the case. There's some women that God has protected in that area. Some God says even, he talked about eunuchs. Some have a gift. Some were called and chosen to be eunuchs. All right. As pertains to these men. But these women, they don't always have to marry. There's some women out there who, thank God, they never married and they became very successful citizens of this world. You just can't get caught up in religion. Thank you, Amber. You catching up? Man, that's pretty good. I don't know how you're doing that, but I don't know how you're doing it because I'm reading fast. It's pretty good. Number 5, a woman has the right to serve the Lord according to her gifts and within the boundaries God set for his church. All right. She has a right to serve the Lord. Number 6, a woman has the right to compete on an equal level with a man. Now, this is very important. All right. How we say this is very important. A woman has the right to compete on an equal level with a man for opportunities not related to gender. Do you hear what I'm saying? You have to add that in there. I know you said we all are equal when it comes to everything on the earth, and the world has got y'all equal. But the world also has caused many women to be hurt in certain areas because you're trying to be equal to a man, and God made you a weaker vessel. You should not be doing jobs that God has made men to do. That's why you are hurting in your bodies. And especially you women who are doing all this bodybuilding, you look horrible. When you got all those muscles and all that stuff, you just look bad. He didn't design you to do that. And so I can't sit on that too long because I got some women friends who are bodybuilders. But some of y'all, I'm sorry. I'm just sorry. How can they misread their wife and abandon their children and go before the Lord? You mean mistreat? If that's what you mean. Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? Good to see you, Spiritual Java. Always good to see you. Why does the Bible say women should be quiet in the church? Anderson, I did that show. Can someone go to my channel? I think Amber or Carter or Michelle Carter. I did a show on women in ministry, or can women preach, or something like that, and I brought that up. All right, I brought that up, Anderson. So if you would have some time, watch that show tonight, because that would take me too long to answer that question today. Because I'm long-winded when it comes to questions. Yeah. So she's not directed to be quiet in church. No, not all women. No, because then Paul used the women to teach. So that means there's something going on with that statement. It doesn't mean what we think it means. Yeah, Tam said the folk in the balcony. Come on, that's of the devil. Women full of muscles don't look. Come on, Adrenicus. All right, you got it, Anderson. Blessings to you, sir. Yeah, I believe. Yeah, go to my YouTube channel. And I'm sure Amber or Beatrice, they're good at finding my material real fast, and I'm sure they're gonna put it in the comment section. You're on YouTube, so it may not show up that great because they're on Facebook. So maybe after the show, or maybe they can go over there and show it. But you can also do a Google search, YouTube search in my channel, and look for women in ministry, and then you'll see it. Yeah, see, Amber puts it here, but you're on YouTube, and it doesn't translate that great over to YouTube from that Facebook link right there. So you'll, but I answered it last week. Well, praise God. Yeah. All right. So number 6, a woman has the right to compete on an equal level with a man for opportunities not related to gender. However, to expect business and institutions to alter their standards so that women have a better chance is not equality at all. All right. For example, gender may prohibit a 4 feet 6 inch, 110-pound woman from being hired for a heavy construction job. All right. Gender should never be a consideration for college admissions or medical school or the business world, because a woman's feminine qualities in no way affect her performance. Now, I'm against. Now, if you're going to hire a woman for a construction job, then you should not give her a job that's got her lifting heavy stuff. She can still work for the construction company, but she is a weaker vessel. Protect her. That's why you will go down the street and you see construction on the street, and you'll see the men hammering and drilling and all kind of stuff, and you'll see the woman with the flag. Come on. Come on. I love that. And guess what? She's getting paid the same for just holding a flag as the guy who's doing this. She can pay the same. I love it. Don't put that weight on that woman. She should always be protected. And prime example is a woman who sued a construction company because she wanted to be a jackhammer. See, I was typing that and she was typing that. I was saying that, she was typing that. And she won. Then later found that she was barren because of her job. Then wanted to sue the company because she messed. Rochelle Coleman, the Lord had you to type that. I had no idea you was going to do that. I was going into my example of jackhammers and you was typing at the same time. That's my point. She should be protected. Y'all, again, ladies, please stop trying to be equal with men as it pertains to brute strength jobs. Don't do it. Can women be, thank you. That was the name of it. Can women be pastors, bishops, apostles? All right. That's for you, Brother Anderson. That's the name that you can search. You get no argument here. All right, number 7, Amber. I don't know if you caught up yet. I know you went over there to find that link. So let me know if you caught up. Number 6 is a woman has the right to compete on an equal level with a man for opportunity not related to gender. Number 7, this is the last one. A woman has a right to everything a man claims as his right, while honoring the God-given distinctions between the sexes. You have every right. Just make sure that your right is within the gender allowance, the God-given distinctions. Genesis 3:28, there is neither Jew nor Greek. There is neither slave nor free. There is no male or female, for you are all one in Christ Jesus. Do you understand? That verse is usually misunderstood and misinterpreted by women who try to secure their positions as pastors and elders and bishops and apostles. You can't use that text. That's not what that means. That's not about positions and offices in the ecclesiastical offices or the presbyter. That's not what that means. So women, please don't be mixing scriptures to make you justify your position in church. Don't do that. She is more precious than jewels, and nothing you desire can compare with her. The good news: women are more valuable than where did it go? Come on, PJ. I like that. I love it. I don't want to be equal, especially when come on. Thank you, spiritual job. Bringing the groceries. Yeah, I work in roadway maintenance for my state. I've noticed that it is the women that desire for other women to bear loads heavier than. Wow, that's crazy. A woman can be used of God in many fields of leadership, especially roles dominated by men, but God will protect her position because of the circumstances behind it. The circumstances behind it. The war over women in ministry. Oh wow, I did a show on that. Wow, man, I was busy. I was really trying to protect the women. I was doing my best. So and this is okay. So I have 3 videos. One is called "Women in Ministry" Part 2. Okay, and then the war over women in ministry. All right, number 3. Okay, Part 3 or number 3. I remember those shows. I don't remember what I said though. Right? Neither gender nor race should ever be used as an excuse to oppress or exclude a person from anything God allows. When the phrase women's rights agrees with the rights God instituted when he designed the women, then the Bible fully supports those rights. When the term is hijacked to include evil that God never endorsed, then those so-called rights are not rights at all. You understand? We need to protect our women, love them always, and the weaker vessel is a great, I think it's a magnificent term to use because it is, it doesn't mean that she's weak or feeble in mind, but she is weak in body, which means she should be protected. Okay, that means she's a precious vase. She's like gold. She is so precious that you don't want no one else touching her. You put her somewhere in a protective glass so that people can just admire her. Don't touch her, just admire her. That's my woman. You can look, but you can't touch. Go ahead, take some pictures. It might last longer. All right, but you can't touch. She's a weaker vessel. Don't do it. All right. So don't put her in these positions. That's why men are. What's happening is when women tell men that they can do all of these brute strength jobs, what it does is it breaks down the whole fabric of a man, and you're ripping him or raping him or taking from him. Okay, that thing that God has put in him, the protective and the chivalrous man. You're releasing that from him. And so after he starts seeing women always doing this on her own, he stopped being chivalrous. And then before you know it, we all equal on everything. So when I was out there dating, I would notice that the women would just get in the cars. I mean, we're together, and they would open doors for me, and they would do stuff that I should be doing their way. I'm like, well, hey, whoa, what is this? Oh, I'm sorry. And usually the comment is, I'm used to being alone. Okay, I get it. That makes sense. You should be alone. All right. So I'm here to help you. I want to be. Thank you, Tam. That's the word I was looking for in my mind. Emasculating. I want to be a chivalrous man. That's all I know how to be. My father, that's all I saw him do is open the doors for my mom. That's all he did was being chivalrous to my mom. Always. Till the day she died. Because when cancer hit her and she couldn't walk, he was carrying her around the house. He was carrying her to and fro to the appointments. He was literally physically carrying her to church in his arms. My mom. My father was doing that. All right. From the day I was born to the day I can remember, maybe 5, 6, I can go back as early as maybe 5 years old. All I saw for 50-something years was my father respecting and loving my mom, always embracing her, kissing her, always holding doors, opening doors. He never allowed her to do anything on her own. He just didn't. Not if it had anything to do with what he was supposed to do. Of course she cooked and cleaned and did the grocery shopping. Outside of that, she was not allowed to open that one door. And if he was not present in the house, he demanded that we do that for her. So when I would go with my mom to grocery stores and what have you, I had to open her door. If my father walked up on us and saw that I got in the passenger seat and my mom got in the driver's seat, he said, Mother, he called her mother, get out. He would tell her to get out. boy, get out of the car. Then he didn't have to say no other word after that. I had to go back around and open the door for my mom and put her in the car. That's the way it was all my life. When we would come home from church at nighttime on a Sunday night, if you were Kojic, you were there all day long. All right. And we lived on the west side. And my father would get out of the car. It's 9 of us. So we all packed in that Ford. What was that? That was an Oldsmobile. We all packed in that Oldsmobile, that Ford Oldsmobile. And he would get out. He'd tell us to get out. My mom had to stay in the car. And we would go up we went up the stairs to the house, and he would unlock the door, and he would tell us to go inside the house and walk around. We're on the west side, y'all. And we had to walk around the house with him. Somebody stayed at the car to watch my mom, and we went in the house, and we went all through the house to make sure that no one was hiding in the house. And when the coast was clear, whoosh, get your mom. And we would get my mom, and then as she's walking up the stairs, my father would meet her at the stairs, and then he would grab her. My mom was capable. She was in her 30s. Well, she was well capable to do whatever, but my father would not allow her to be unprotected. That's just the way it was. That didn't happen once or twice. It happened all my life. So this is why you never hear me raising my voice to a woman. You never hear me thinking to raise my hand to even strike a woman. None of my brothers. You just you didn't see that. You didn't see it in my house. Meaning my brothers and you just didn't see it. Because my father, he beat hell out of us if we did anything. That's why after a while they began to look like men and act. Ooh, Joanne. Why did Jesus say no marriage in heaven? If no one is married in heaven, what will my relationship with my spouse be like? Anderson, great question. Your spouse would be your sister. There's no need for marriage in heaven. There's no procreating in heaven. We will be like Jesus when we get there. We will have glorified bodies. We won't be having children. We won't be. During the tribulation, they will be. During the 1,000-year reign, they will be. But we who are caught up to meet him in the air during the rapture, if y'all believe in that, once we get to heaven and have our glorified bodies, there won't be no need for sperm and fallopians and all that. No need for it. No. You can't fathom it right now with your mindset, but when our bodies are changed, your thinking will change, which means you won't have a desire for a woman. Understand? That's God's order. That's his plan. My 4-year-old son saw my wife getting in the car one day and said, "Mama, you forgot to wait for Daddy to get." Ooh, John, I love that. That blessed me. Some of these so-called liberated women are miserable. Anytime you willfully walk opposite of God's prescribed order, misery. 6 years ago. I did that show 6 years ago. Jeez. Man, Michelle, I feel old. My husband has been opening the door for me for 26 years. Woo! It really makes me, spiritual Java. That is a blessing. Oh, that is a blessing. I got to meet that man. I got to meet him. Where are the real fathers, real men today? The 10 of us can't do it all. Come on. Come on. Matthew 22:30, at the resurrection, people will neither marry nor, thank you. They will be like the angels in heaven. Thank you. Thank you for putting that there. Even so, I got to see what that meant. Damn. We need more of that today. Many young women are taught that femininity is a curse. Yeah. Many young men are taught there is no longer a need for chivalry. My dad always treated me like a princess. I don't know anything else. Man, I was beautiful. Wow. I love it. My daughter, I don't allow her to do nothing. She's 26, 27. You know, I don't allow her to do anything that causes her to have to strain. When she's out there grocery shopping and she comes home, I don't really have to go there. If she lets me know, Dad, get to the car and take them groceries out. My granddaughter, my daughter, she pimps me. My daughter is my pimp. Oh yeah, she pimps me. Dad, I'm pulling up. I need you to get out here. Help me with these bags. She know. She knows. I know my position. I never tell her no. I help her with everything I can. And when we go do our daddy-daughter dates, I don't know how we're going to do this now with this new baby. We're going to figure it out, though. I open the door for her. Always open doors for her. I make her comfortable. I turn the heat on or I turn the air on, whatever it takes. That's my baby. Because in her mind, she's comparing me with her man. And she going to make sure her man do things that her daddy been doing for her for 27 years. And it's working. I saw it working. I saw it working firsthand. I said, yeah, baby girl, whoop that boy in shape. My grandfather broke his hip, and even at 80 years old, he wouldn't allow me. Wow, y'all got some good folks in your family. My rock was about no marriage and yeah, damn. All right. Okay. All right. Lastly, we need this conversation in the churches. Should a godly man treat his wife? Yes, we do. Just put a tux on the baby. I love that little bit. I can't wait to dress that boy. Ooh, I can't wait to dress him. He gonna be the sharpest dressed, light-skinned little boy in the whole Chicago. You think I can dress right now? Ooh, my grandson gonna be, both my grandsons. The one in Atlanta, Junior, and this one here. Ooh, they gonna be the sharpest kids on the block. Ha! That's what they gonna rename them. What's your name? Yes. All right. Lastly, your late smart show. I was dumb up until the time you got here. So now I feel all right. I feel all right. Yeah. I got two to dress. I'm gonna talk about COVID right quick. I don't like to talk about it because YouTube don't like that topic. They don't like it, and so they tend to put all kind of stuff in your videos, and they ban you, and all kind of Facebook too. They don't like the topic. So I will say again, for those of you who didn't see my shows this week. This week is the anniversary of when I had COVID last year. 1 year ago, on the 4th, which was a couple days ago, I made a post about how sick I was when I told the people to pray for me. 1 year ago today, there I was. Yesterday, actually, I drove 2 hours to go take a vaccine shot. Why? People kept asking me, why are you taking it now? Can I say something to y'all? It's just between me and y'all. Ain't nobody else here but about 100 people. Ain't nobody else here, and ain't nobody else coming. All right. People keep asking, but why couldn't you wait until everything opened up and then you can do it here in Chicago? Because you can't get it here in Chicago unless you got to have certain ailments. You got to be a smoker. You got to be 65 years old and all that stuff. It's gonna take a while before my turn comes. You got to be what do you call those workers? Them workers. You got to always be around people. Essential workers. Okay. So people ask, why are you taking? Why can you wait? So healing is available right now. And you want me to wait. Okay. Why did you travel 2 hours away to get it? So healing is available right now. I bought a car that will drive from here to Florida with no problems. And I can't drive 2 hours. You know it takes me 45 minutes to 1 hour to get to church during the week. Anybody? Did y'all know that? During the week, my church is in Evanston, Illinois. I live on the south side of Chicago. It literally takes me 1 hour, depending on traffic, it could take 1 hour and 10 minutes to get to church. One way. Going back home, another hour. That's 2 hours. You understand? We try to find all kind of excuses. Clergymen are on the list to get the vaccine, Elder. Well, I got mine. So I just can't understand. Why is it so important that you're telling me to not do something that I feel is important for me to do for my body, even if it takes me 2 hours? You got to understand. Number one, I wanted to do it this week. Thank God I qualified all the way 2 hours away, but I'm glad I was able to do it this week because it was my anniversary. Number two, I talked so much about this vaccine. I got tired of just talking and not having the opportunity to do, so I did it. My arm, you know what, and I never put that video. I knew I was something I was supposed to do. I recorded the video of me being shot in the arm, so I'll have to put that up. My arm is in pain right now, shooting pain. Some people are going to use it as an excuse. See? Every vaccine I've ever taken, I had shooting pain in my arm. This is typical. And I told y'all, before I took the vaccine, probably a whole lot of stuff going to happen in my body because every time I go to the hospital or clinic or something for any kind of type of treatment for my body is very delicate, kind of weak. All right. Now I'm strong, so I can lift 1,000,000 pounds. No problem. I've built this empire. But my skin is delicate. It's sensitive. If you pinch me, that's going to leave a mark for a few days, and I'm going to feel it for hours. If you pinch me, that's how delicate my skin is. That's just my blood type, I guess. I don't know. But I can hammer with my own hands. That's how strong I am. But my insides are delicate. So it's typical that I was going to have that pain. It'll be gone in another couple of days. Now, to you people who continue to discourage people from taking the vaccines, I'm going to need you to stop. I'm going to need you to stop. Don't you take the vaccine. Walk away from it, but walk away from the conversation. You understand? I'm going to need you to stop. We got a big problem in America right now. And one of the problems might be you. Constantly discouraging African Americans to take the vaccine. I get it. You'd think that it was man-made. It was in some laboratory in Wuhan, China. I get it. And you think that the vaccine was a method for somebody to make a lot of money. Depending on which conspiracy you're on, I get it. And you had somebody who sent you a video that was quite convincing. Man, I get that. My problem, though, with you is this. How dumb do you think the whole world is when it comes to the education of this COVID-19 and the vaccine? How dumb do you think the science community is, the World Health Organization is, the Center for Disease Control is? How dumb and ill-informed do you think they are? when since the 16 or 1700s, they have been creating vaccines forever. And it scares you because you're now smarter than the average bear. You have Google and you have YouTube to educate you when these people have gone to school for many years, and medical breakthroughs and scientific breakthroughs and what have you. And how dumb are they to not notice that you're the one who realized that this was made in some lab and that the vaccine is going to turn us into robots and zombies? How dumb do you think all these white folks will go in your neighborhood because you don't want to get it? And so they're standing in the lines and they qualify. Hey, well, we can't let this go to waste. And yet, proportionately, African Americans are dying by a freaking alarming rate. What's your answer if it ain't the vaccine? Huh? Y'all know I don't pander to nobody. I'm stepping on my own friends. What's your answer? If you don't have an answer, stop discouraging people from taking the vaccine. When thousands have went through the test before they even finished rolling it out, thousands have gone through the test and they survived a whole year ago. Well, almost. The test. They went through the trial. And not a one of them died. Not a one of them turned into a robot yet. And so they approved it to go forth. And still, not a person who's been taking it since last year have died or had some kind of, some people had some reactions because of their bodies, but it would have happened for something else from an old vaccine. You guys are listening to the wrong people. Listen to them, but leave us alone. Will you please? Let us be a part of the 75-80% herd immunity. Let us be the herd. Let us be the cattle. Let us be the rats in the lab. Let us do that. So far, we're doing all right. Understand? All these news stations and all these newspapers and all the media from around the world, how dumb do you think they are if they can't discover what you know about it being man-made? So do you also know who shot JFK? You probably do. Leave us alone. Because I can guarantee you, God did not allow this vaccine to be our death sentence. This is not the mark of the beast. It's not God's plan. He will not allow me, a man of God like myself, who I talk to God quite often, He will not allow me to drive 2 hours to get that thing shot in my body so that I can turn into something. And that ain't the God that I serve. I've got more wisdom than that. You understand? The day is going to come. You're going to look back on these days and say, all right, it wasn't as bad as I thought. You will. And you're going to replay this video. Play it and send me, have me come over to the house for dinner and let's play this video back. Now, trust me, somebody's going to take this vaccine, whether it's Moderna, whether it's Johnson & Johnson, or whether it's Pfizer, and they're going to have an allergic reaction and somebody might just perish. And that's going to be your strength. That's going to be your reason to say, see, I tell you. I'm going to tell you this. If you send it to me, I'm going to have to block you. Because you need a way out. You need somebody to comfort you in your conspiracy. You need it. So I'm going to need y'all to miss me with that. But let the doctor diagnose them with cancer without a second option. They will be in that oncologist's office strapped up. Yes, they will. You'll be strapped up. And I know what your defense is. It happened so fast. They produced this thing so fast. Ain't that something? Y'all asked God to save or help or heal America fast, and He brought something, and you said, that ain't it. I'm so glad I'm not God. Because what's happening here is that the vaccine today will be, the technology of this vaccine right now sets the pace for vaccines from now on. And your children are going to look back they're going to be up against a new scientific technology of their day, and they're going to be like, man, but COVID-19, they're going to compare COVID-19, how fast it was. They're going to look at that and have something to compare it with. I was telling my daughter that because my daughter, just like some of y'all, she got caught up in that conspiracy stuff. And I had to rebuke my own daughter. She ain't liking me right now. I'm passing the moment where she going to like me again. I guess I got to give her something. I don't know. Is the COVID vaccine the mark of the beast? Thank you for putting that up there. All right. 1 year ago, this is me 1 year ago this week. This is why I took the vaccine. You may not have ever had COVID. You don't know what it feels like. I do. It feels like death. Death. I was dying. I was being choked. That thing sat on my chest and wanted to end my life. Except for the prayers of the saints and the grace of God, there would be no more Sirwalterj Jones show. Y'all would be watching reruns. This was me a year ago. Hello, everybody. Sirwalterj, the Sirwalterj Jones show. I'm here. It is a midday connection. Baby. How y'all is? Come on in. Water's not that great today, but it's getting better. I want to talk to you about an activity or knowledge on what we may call sleep paralysis and how we tie this into demonic activity. And you who are believers, stay with me if you can. If you could help me through the comments, teach this lesson. Now, some of the things that I'm going to say to you may seem like it's science fiction to those of you who are not believers in Christ. I have many people who are my Facebook friends who are not believers. Some of you on YouTube, you watch my shows. I have atheists who watch my shows a lot. And they watch because many of them tell me that although they are not believers, they enjoy the history of the lesson. And some have turned their lives over to God because of the things that they heard me say in some of your comments as well. Let's talk about this sleep paralysis and what it is. And you go to that show on YouTube. I could barely sit in that chair, as you can see me doing this, because I still had some pounding going on in my head and my voice was weak. I'm not even sure why I went live, but I had to. I had to. And after the show was over, I had to go upstairs and get back into bed. I had just got up from COVID, still not knowing that's what it was. I thought it was a flu. And then shortly after that show, I lost my taste and I lost my smell, which seemed to be typical with COVID patients. And then I started seeing my friends die left and right. Y'all, you don't have to take the vaccine. You don't have to. That's your call. But I took mine, and I'm going to take another one in another 3-4 weeks, and I'll be okay. Yes, more diseases are coming. Yes, more, what do they call those things, from South Africa and from New Zealand and what they all call these other ones, all right? The Johnson & Johnson vaccine seems to be keeping up with a lot of those other ones, all right? And technology is going to continue to catch up, and we might have to go back into the thing, all right? But leave me alone. Not strains. They are strains. What do they call them? Thank you. Variants. All right. So leave us alone. Let us heal the way we want to heal. And you're going to be okay. Don't worry. No one is forcing you to take the vaccine. But we don't want you to be trying to discourage folk who feel that this is the way. We believe in science. God is omniscience, and he is using the science community to help heal us. You understand? Thank God. We rid this nation of polio. And, gosh, so many other things. Matter of fact, I'm getting ready to go back soon to get a vaccine shot for shingles. Yes, I am. You can get vaccinated for shingles. I heard of last year, and I'm going back. I'm not going to have, I ain't traveling 2 hours to do that, but no. But I'm going to get a shot for that too. Now, if some of y'all say, oh, well, praise God. Oh, yeah, you can praise God for shingles shot. Oh, yeah, I'm going back. Which adult vaccines do you need? We recommend that all adults, include pregnant women, get the following vaccines: influenza every year, tetanus, diphtheria, I've always said that wrong, whooping cough, let's see, and of course the boosters. And it gives you how old you are. If you're 50 and older, shingles is the way to go. I seen my pastor suffer with shingles to where he just couldn't sit, couldn't move, and the pain was in his body. I said, oh yeah, I'm getting my shingles vaccine. If you're 65 or older, both types of pneumonia vaccines are readily available to you. I'm 26 or younger. That's HPV vaccines series, and I can go through all this. Oh, I'm taking my vaccines. I thank God that he has given the doctors the knowledge to do what they do. Hallelujah. I'm set free today. Well, continuous. Set free is a continuousness when it comes to this body. Spiritually, always we're set free spiritually. Yes, nurse, it's a personal prerogative, right, to take it or not. Yeah. So stop insisting that we not take it. I don't walk in lawyers' offices and try to tell their clients what not to do legally. That's above my pay grade. I stay in my lane. New variant strands of COVID. Yes, they sent my friend home. She was crying. She couldn't breathe. I juiced her turmeric. What gender and product? Not against others getting it, but don't wait and do nothing. Yeah, I agree with that. Don't wait and do nothing. I am on a vitamin regimen, and I'm taking what they call that thing? Cell management pills, whatever they call that thing. I'm on every vitamin you can think of. I take it faithfully every day, and I pop 100 m's of vitamin C every day with my meal. 1,000, not 100, 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C. Cell regeneration is what it's called. I take that stuff, man. My bones were aching when I would lay in my bed. My foot, I would get, what do you call that? When your foot does that, and they keep saying you have a deficiency. What's that deficiency? All right. And this is my foot. And this part here would be so painful, Tawana, when I would lay in bed. It would be so painful when I would lay across both feet, and this pain would just shoot through my body. I had weak, not arthritis. When it just does that, and then you can't move it. What do you call that? And it cramps. What they call that? Yes, thank you. Iron deficiency and cramping, potassium. Yeah. Once I got on that multivitamin, I'm not taking that just that go to Walgreens, get them multivitamin for male. I like the natural, the organic stuff, okay? Once I start taking those vitamins, I think it took a couple months. I have not had one pain in both of my feet. Not one. I've tested it, and I would purposely do things to try to get the muscle spasms, Beatrice, and I can't get them. That pain in both of my feet, I don't get those pain in my feet when I prop it against the bed. It don't happen anymore after I got on the vitamin regimen. I got one for bone density. I can't remember which vitamin is that. Haven't had those problems. I wasn't regular. I know this is TMI. I wasn't regular. I don't go like y'all do. But once I got on that vitamin tip, look out, bathroom. Even my pee is now. I mean, things changed for me. It took a while. My body was fighting against it, actually. It took a while. I thought that the vitamin C, that many milligrams that I took, I just swore that was going to lock me up and it's going to cause me not have urination issues. Nah. Some men, they complain about discomfort when you urinate because you're taking too much. Not me. And I take 1,000 a day. I love it. So I'm asking you, brothers. So it's those of you who are giving a little things on the comment section about, I love what Tawana said about taking something, because there's some things you can do preventive so that you can ward off, the attack of COVID. I believe that you can continue to take your vitamins and eat healthily so that many of you can ward it off, but then some of you can't, it won't happen for you. But I had it before, and there's nothing in the books that says I can't catch COVID again. We thought we couldn't catch it again once we caught it. We thought we had immunity. That's not necessarily true. Remember when black people said we can't catch COVID? No black person. Remember when COVID first hit a year ago? Black people don't catch it. And then we wound up being the worst. And then after you caught it, you thought nobody would. And then there were accounts where people had COVID twice. I didn't know. I ain't going down that rabbit hole with y'all. Ed, thank you, John. Vitamin D, zinc. Man, my body feels so good. Our community is getting colon cancer like crazy. Yeah. Yeah. High doses of B17. I got, what do I have? I got to look at that thing. I got to look at that thing. That was the most ignorant statement ever put out. Yeah, wasn't that something? It was crazy. Black folks don't get it. Zinc, and I have zinc, I have C, I have B12, I have D, D2. Man, that stuff. I didn't know what it was. I just was told to take it. I was told to take it, and I took it, and I am a better man because of it. All right? And it's the women. You women are ones who are telling us men what to take. That's why I continue to celebrate the women. Now, I ain't going to listen to you when you tell me not to take the vaccine. I ain't talking to you. But you women who are telling us, here's what you need to do. Preventive, what is the statement? An ounce of prevention is worth more than a pound of cure. Just take a little bit of ounce of prevention. That's what Tawana's pretty much saying. Do it. All right? Yeah. So I love it. I love taking it, and I thank God for it. All right, Dr. Hill is on the Annette Harris show, and I remember Amber's son got sick, and I had to go see about him here because she lives in Georgia, and I was the nearest person that she kind of know in Chicago to get to him through Dr. Hill. And I had to get a concoction of stuff to help him fight the COVID that he had a few months ago. All right. And so she and Dr. Hill had me to go down into the Whole Food store and buy some stuff to take to Amber's son. And so that he can fight through this thing. And so now I'm on this concoction that I believe that is blessing me in my body. My doctor prescribed vitamin D, 50,000 milligrams once a week. Wow, God's watching. So women, thank you for helping us men stay healthy. All right, if you wives out there, be careful what you're feeding your husbands, please. Be careful. I think I need to change my vitamin from Century to something different. All right, Priscilla. The fact that you recognize that, and man, get some good counseling. There's some women here. There's several of them who can help you through that. Joanne seems like she knows a lot about that, and I see Nurse Virgie is here. Tawana to Inspire. All right, these women are been a blessing to my life. Of course, through Amber, and Beatrice Carter works for. She works in the hospital every day. She sees this stuff every day. All right, Beatrice Carter helped me through a lot of that stuff. So she sees it every day. All right, so Priscilla, talk to these young ladies, and I believe they can give you some good counsel on what changes you need to make to your vitamins. People are not social distancing and wearing no masks, which is crazy. Ain't that something, nurse? It's crazy. And this is why America is just, we're spoiled. If you take that high a dose, you need magnesium and vitamin E and K, so it won't set up calcium in the bones, causing arthritis. See what I tell you? Tawana to Inspire TV. See? All this stuff is above my pay grade. The women say take it, and I take it. Because apparently it must be working for them and their children and then their husbands or whatever. So I take it. And I've been living a prosperous life so far because I've never really been totally, my body's never been right. Never been right. Ever. In my 50-something years, never been right. So but I'm getting older. And I want to stay around I want to be able to chase my 2 grandchildren up and down the street. In busy traffic. Yeah. I worked COVID crisis in New York. Wow. I religiously took my vitamin. Wow. Y'all, I gotta go. I'm gonna go and eat something, and I took my vitamins, so I'm good. I'm good for the day. I'm gonna go eat something and call it at night, early tonight. I'm going to bed. I love y'all. Thank you. Hit the share button, will you please? Thank you, women, for being who you are. We celebrate you this month, as we did African Americans last month. We celebrate you this month. We won't continue. We won't discontinue doing it for the rest of the year. It doesn't end at how many days we got in March? It won't end March. Let's see. How y'all do the knuckle thing? 31, 30, 31. That's how y'all do the knuckle things. January, February, March 31st. We won't stop after March 31st. All right. We love you and we thank you for helping the brothers keep us sane and keep us healthy and our children. Thank you for rearing up the babies that we have. I thank my ex-wife for the 2 children she gave me. She lived in my house for a whole month, and I thanked her as much as I could every day. She lived here. She came to visit her daughter and her grandson, and I thanked her. Thank you, girl. Thank you. Ah, you're welcome. No, really, thank you. You didn't have to have these children for me, but you did. And they are such a blessing to me. Thank you. All right? Good night, y'all. Take care of yourselves and one another. Peace.
Well, goodbye. 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 Enjoy yourself. Bye. Goodbye. 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 Bye. Well, goodbye. 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 Goodbye.
Fellas, does it seem like you can't get a good woman? Ladies, wonder why you can't keep a man? Then read The 4 Women That Men Desire, Volume 1, by Sirwalterj to figure out how to break the cycle. Go to Amazon.com to get your copy today.